Hi, guys. Hello. Can you see me? And can you hear me? Hello? It says 0 people, but I can see you guys. There's please let me know if you can hear me because if you can't, then I'm going to bed. Can you guys hear me? Okay, great. Perfect. Thank you. I don't know what happened cuz I didn't change anything. I didn't do anything different. All right, we're going to give a couple more people a chance to get back in here. Um Thank God, because and I promise I didn't do anything, and I know you guys laugh, and I'm like, I'm a grandma, and I'm not tech savvy, but I didn't do anything different. It just wouldn't come on. All right, we're gonna give a couple people a chance to get in here, and I did call Rich. He just told me to like what you guys were doing, turn it off and turn it back on. It didn't change. I didn't change anything like to configure. It just came back on. All right. Hi everyone. Do you want to listen to the new song? You want to listen to the song, you guys? So the associate who made it for me actually made me a new song. Um, I don't know if I'm gonna debut that. Hi, Terry. Yes, Mr. Elsearch helped. He pretty much just told me to like unplug everything and plug it back in. But like I had done that before. I guess I just needed to get out of the stream and redo it. I don't know. Maybe I was sitting here waiting for so long. Yes, I saw. So I was gonna do this video and record it and edit it and post it for you guys. And then I was like, I might as well just go live. Hi. Hi, Astrid. Hi, Lily Mae. Kimberly is here. Sarah Dawn, hi. So while we wait for a couple people to get in here, I want to thank you guys, everybody, for sending all the gifts for the kids. I am actually the reason I'm ending up doing a live instead of a pre-recorded is I am deep in the middle of I made a video that I'm gonna post later, maybe today or tomorrow. But I am deep in the middle of I can just literally reach and grab an empty Amazon box. That's how many is over here because we're opening all the boxes you guys sent and then we're gonna package them in individual bags for the kids. So that's gonna take a while for me to do. It's probably gonna take all weekend and some part of next week. So I made a video that I'm gonna post. You guys can watch it here and on TikTok on your free time. So I was deep in the middle of doing that, and then I was like, "Oh, I gotta get on Subpoena Gate." But yes, you will get to see the reaction for the kids when they get there. So everything you guys sent is still here. What I'm doing now is let me see if I can show you. Oh, I can't. It's not on this phone. So what I'm doing now is just we're opening the boxes and kind of taking inventory of everything we received, and then we're gonna package everything into the bags for the kids before we send it, and then you're gonna get to see video when the kids receive it. Yeah, very therapeutic. I yesterday we already like I like smashing them. It's like it's so nice for me to smash the boxes. So I started doing that yesterday. But you guys, let's get right into it. I'm not gonna hold you very long because like I said already, like I wish I could flip the camera and show you what my house looks like, but like I swear I could just reach my arms and I can grab an empty Amazon box. That's how many I have. I just reach and I grab something. Like I'm surrounded. I'm surrounded by like Amazon boxes. Who are the children you're collecting for? The children are in Ghana, West Africa, where I'm from. Can I drop links in the chat? Yeah, Leo, go ahead. So they're gonna be going to, and originally I was trying to get just some items for, one orphanage, but you guys ended up sending enough stuff that like I can take care of like 5 orphanages and maybe 5 schools. So I have enough items to send to 5 10 different organizations. And I wanted to say really, Lara, by the way, Lara, I got your stuff. Today I opened the box and it says from Lara. My husband actually opened that box. So thank you so much for that. I put your paper to the side. I thought this one was yours, but no, because Amazon gives you these thank you notes when somebody buys your stuff from the wish list. And I found something from Lara. And I wanted to ask permission from you guys because I don't know, I don't know if you want me to say your first and last names, but I was like, I want to thank a couple of people that I opened your box, so I saw. But one of our associates, I'm just gonna say Anna. If you want me to say your whole name, let me know. But like Anna went berserk. You too, Lara. But like almost every other box I open is Anna P. I'm gonna say Anna P. So if you're watching, you know it's you. She got fire blankets. She got medication. She got pencils. She got underwear. She got socks. Almost every other box is like Anna P. And Sherry too. Sherry W. If you're watching, you know who you are. Sherry W and crazy. Literally every other box is her as well. So, and I appreciate everybody. I'm just saying, like, it's just their name kept coming up because they had multiple boxes. So thank you guys for that. All right, we got 233 of y'all in here. Wait, who says they live in Ghana? Sweetie, I live myself in Ghana. We are financially... Who is shopaholic? You live in Ghana? Wow, you have to reach out to me. Maybe when my husband gets down there, you can go with him to the orphanages. You can meet up with him. All right, you guys. Hi, Alice. We're going to get into it and I'm not going to regurgitate because, it's been a day. Everybody's been talking about how many items were bought. Over 1,000 items, over 1,300 items were bought. And some of those items, thank you so much, Randolph. And some of those items are like multi-pack items. So just say 1,000 and add a couple hundred to it. So it's super interesting. The way you guys came, showed out for me is amazing. But I plan to keep you for like 30 minutes, maybe. So let's get right into it. And I'm not going to regurgitate. Hi, Kinney. Yeah, me too. I can't wait to see their faces. That's going to be my favorite part. Yeah, I'm super excited for the kiddos. And people keep asking how they can help, how they can reach out to the orphanages themselves. And you can, but like I said, they don't have a website. So maybe that's something I need to set up for them as well. But like, if you guys want to go down there and hang out with them, just reach out to me, reach out to my email, and we'll talk, okay? But let's get into it so I can send you guys off really quick because I know it's the weekend and y'all are super busy and y'all have things to do. So if you're just tuning in, the first 8 minutes is us catching up on the donation drive. We're getting into it now. And I'm not going to regurgitate, like I said, everything everybody has said all day, but I have some opinions of my own. And like I said, I was going to make a video and post, but I was like, I don't have time to make the video, edit the video, then post it when I could just go on live and talk to you guys and interact to see we're all on the same space. And thank you so much, Michelle, for becoming a member. I really appreciate you. So I saw a lot of you were sending this to me, but I also saw it from Katie without a crystal ball myself. She broke this story, I believe, yesterday. Where? I'm not trying to watch an ad. I'm trying to read the headline. And again, I'm sure a lot of you know what's going on. If you don't know, then I guess that's why you're here. But Blake Lively's super shady legal tactic that set off a war with Justin Baldoni before he even had a clue. And I'm not a lawyer, even though the Daily Mail has given me the lawyer title, but I have a couple of notes because, and the main thing, happy Easter, Sabrina. Happy Easter, everybody. So somebody named Sabrina also sent a lot of stuff. So if that's you, shout out to you, Sabrina. I really appreciate it. But the main thing that I wanted to bring up is when I was reading this, you guys, like when, and again, like I said, I'm not a lawyer, but like when somebody is sending you a subpoena, they hand it to you. It's like you're being served, right? You get the document, You read it, you know what you're in trouble for, what you need to provide, or if you need to show up to testify. But, and I 100% believe, I think the Daily Mail said they reached out to Brian Friedman and he said he had no idea about what's going on. So let's just read this Daily Mail article really quickly. And then I'm going to give you guys my thoughts and why I think this could be a very big deal as far as for Blake and Ryan. Like this is not a good look for them. And if you're Blake, you probably thought this was a good week for you because, you know, you got named most influential, and then you turn around and now you have to deal with this. But Blake Lively quietly filed a clandestine, and again, this is not new information, a clandestine lawsuit months before her legal war with It Ends With Us co-star Justin Baldoni became public in an apparent plot to seize damning text messages from his publicist. The filing allowed her attorney to issue subpoena for the embarrassing text and then drop the lawsuit, all without Baldoni's team knowing it even existed. Now a dailymail.com investigation. I love that the Daily Mail is saying they've done an investigation, because I'm pretty sure it was like all the other sleuths and Without a Crystal Ball and whoever else. And they're like, yay, we've done investigations. The Daily Mail, where did I lose? Okay, investigation has uncovered the full story behind the obscure suit, which was filed without names of the defendants, because we know they listed Doe's, John Doe's, Jane Doe's as the defendants, by a company owned by Lively in an apparent bid to avoid detection. We do know now that that company also is a sham, because it was used to buy one thing, apparently some furniture and some stuff for Taylor Swift video, and now they have like, tax issues, FTB, they've broken a bunch of tax laws or whatever, and now the company is super inactive. It's been inactive for years. All right, let's move it along, because I don't want to keep you guys for very long today. Legal experts say that the case appeared to be a sham lawsuit, which is, everybody knows what a sham means, fake, with one describing it as super shady. Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, told Daily Mail this appears to be an end around, skirting the process to be able to secretly get these documents without having to give anyone notice. That would be an abuse of process, and we intend to take all action allowable under the law. All right, and a bunch of people are wondering, why is Brian Friedman acting like he doesn't know about this? And I 100% believe he didn't know about this, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Let's see here. Friedman said he had no knowledge about the lawsuit until Daily Mail contacted him to ask for a comment. Lively's lawyer said the newly uncovered lawsuit was common and entirely appropriate, and accused Friedman of full outrage. Let's stop right there. If this was common and appropriate, why were you hiding under another company in the first place? Why did you hide behind this Van Zandt in the first place? If this was very common and appropriate, in fact, why didn't you file the lawsuit or file the subpoena under these people's current business? Why did you have to go do, methinks you're doing a lot. If you're innocent, if you're right, if you can prove your points very easily, you don't need to go under, you don't need to be doing all of the shady stuff, right? You don't need to be hiding behind, shell companies. I never know which is which they're different, by the way. A lot of people don't realize shelf companies and shell companies are not the same thing. But you don't need to hide behind one of these to get a subpoena. Now, what I find very, very curious, and I'm going to show you, but let me read through some of your comments to make sure I don't miss anything. Watch out for Ezra Hudson, says it's ethical for people with money to take away your rights. Yeah. They were deadly duel. Yeah. Let's see. Shady, shady, shady. Hi, Tiffany. Let's see. Okay, shelf are created for a couple of years to execute a task and then dissolved. At this point, all right. So X-Lady says shelf companies are created for a couple of years to execute a task, then dissolved, which typically, like, those years that they're active, they are used for something, then dissolved. So this Van Zandt might not actually be a shelf company. I'm just going to call it that. So don't sue me. Okay, where's my allegedly paper? It's here somewhere. Okay, it's allegedly a shelf company is what I'm calling it. But what I find curious about Brian Friedman saying he didn't know about the subpoena, and the reason I believe he never knew about the subpoena is, like I said in the beginning, if you're served a subpoena, if you're served a summons or whatever, you receive it, you read it, you acknowledge it, then you comply by it, right? You abide by it. if we take a look at, I'm gonna pull up the timeline of relevant events, which you guys know I love that website. Like you can never, if they ever took it away from me, I mean I have it downloaded, so if they ever took it away, I'll be fine. But in case anybody here is not privy to aware of the timeline of relevant events, it it does a very good job of helping us retrace our steps. If you miss a spot, like it helps you remember stuff, especially because it's so meticulous. And whoever came up with this idea to do this, I absolutely love them. Can I see her input? She does make good case. I don't know what that means. Drop the Steam Labs link. Chat, talk about it. Okay, you guys. So let me go through this real quick. So on July, I wrote this date down. So let's go back. If you haven't had a chance to read the timeline of relevant events like I have, you may not know that even though Jen Abel quit working for Stephanie Jones, conversations were had, right? So if you go back to, I believe, July 10th, oh, 1 second, sorry. I want to go back to July 10th. Let's go all the way back because I want to show you guys, because I think July 10th is when, around there was when Jen Abel started telling Stephanie Jones she was thinking of leaving the firm. She didn't want to continue working with her any longer. At which point, Stephanie Jones kind of didn't go off on her exactly, but pretty much was like, "You're ungrateful. I've done this for you, blah, blah, blah. You should stick around." And Jen Abel made it clear on multiple occasions she was absolutely done. Now, the part that I find curious and I find important and I think helps Brian Friedman saying he never knew about this, it would be ridiculous of Jen Abel throughout this entire process to go through all of this without telling Brian Friedman, "Hey, by the way, before they took my phone, I got a subpoena," right? Because you say that to your attorney. It helps your case. Your attorney can work around stuff. But I'm going to read exactly what happened the day Jen Abel walked into Stephanie Jones's office and they took her phone because there was no subpoena. She did, however, sign a document. And there was a lawyer, but it wasn't her lawyer. They didn't ask her to bring a representative or anything. They just told her to sign here and, be on your way. So I'm going to show you. I'm gonna read to you what happened the day she went to the office and found out she would be leaving without a cell phone. And keep in mind, even though the phone was a work phone, it had been her phone for a number of years and all her information was on there. Okay. So on August 21st, 2024, 2 days before her last day, Abel pulls up to the Jonesworks office in Beverly Hills. There, she's confronted by a physically imposing security guard. Physically imposing, you can draw your own conclusions, but just imagine somebody kind of rolled up on her, kind of hovering all over her, like, "Come with me, ma'am," type. Again, I wasn't there. I don't know if they said, "Come with me, ma'am," but I'm going to go with, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, let's go ahead. She was confronted by a physically imposing security guard. If you're following along, I'm right here. Security guard, a lawyer sitting at a conference table covered in documents, an IT professional, and a Jones chief of staff who had flown in unannounced from New York. Apart from Jones' chief of staff, Abel had never seen any of them before. After being ushered into the conference room, Abel sees that the security guard is posted just outside its doors, almost as if they're blocking it, right? They're blocking the exit. Blocking the exit. I mean, she actually said that. I didn't realize. In a menacing and cold tone, the attorney points to the document and it's like we're watching a movie. In a menacing and cold tone, the attorney points to the document and tells Abel to review and sign them. She just says documents. At this point, Jen Abel doesn't say she was asked to sign a subpoena. She was asked to review a subpoena. They said, I'm going to highlight in case you didn't get to see it for yourself. Right here. In a menacing cold tone, the attorney points to the document and tells Abel to review and sign them. The attorney claims that Jonesworks believes she had proprietary information on her personal laptop and will likely have grounds to sue if Abel does not allow them access. I don't know if anybody, again, I've been deep in unboxing and repackaging stuff all day. So I haven't got a chance to see anybody's video, hear what anybody has said. But they 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 took the phone and then threatened legal action. But now you're saying you actually had a subpoena. Why wouldn't you just hand the lady a subpoena? Even if it's from this Van Zan person, Van Zan company, it's still an active subpoena, it's still a real subpoena. You would just use that, right? But no. The attorney claims that Jonesworks believes she had proprietary information on her personal laptop and will likely have grounds to sue if Abel does not allow them access. So they pretty much threatened Jen Abel with a lawsuit. They never tell her, by the way, we filed a shady lawsuit and we have this shady subpoena. And so if you don't give us give us the phone, which they could have just done that. So why, oh why would you threaten me with a lawsuit if you do in fact actually have a subpoena in the tuck? You would just hand that to me, but they didn't do that. All right, let's move on really quickly. Completely caught off guard, I'm right here if you're following along on your own. Completely caught off guard by this hostile and intimidating display, Abel falls into a state of shock. She has never experienced anything like this and does not know what to do. Now, this is where I fault Jen Abel a little bit, okay? Because there is no way, and again, I'm not there, I wasn't there, so I'm gonna give her a little bit of grace. But I don't see a world where I'm pulling up to my offices and I'm having a bunch of men like roll up on me and tell me, hand over your phone, sign here, sign there. I'm gonna have a security guard posted at the door. Are you the cops? Where is the subpoena? Would have been my question. But again, I wasn't there, so I can't say what I would have done. I cannot fault Jen for just handing over the phone to get it over with. And I mean, in her wildest dreams, she could have never imagined that, like, in her wildest dreams, oh, my boss is working with the other side. And even though Jen was Justin's agent, Jen worked for Stephanie Jones. She would have never imagined that Stephanie Jones would be colluding with the other side, which this is what this is. I'm not mincing my words. I'm not saying allegedly. They colluded because in a matter of like less than 2 days, Jen Abel's phone content went from her phone to Stephanie Jones's hands to Leslie Sloan's hands to Blake Lively's hands to now the New York Times has ammunition. So I can't fault Jen for handing over the phone. But in the same breath, like if I were Jen, y'all are gonna have to squabble up. We're gonna have to fight because I'm not giving you my phone. Okay, let's go on. Fearful that where did I stop? Okay, fearful that she will burst into tears. Jen, get some balls, girl. Like I would have walked, I would have, I would have made a scene and stomped the yard out of that office. But Jen thought she would start crying. Okay, she said she didn't want to cry. Okay. I get that though, not wanting to show weakness in your corporate environment or whatever. But fearful that she will burst into tears and humiliation, which she knew was what Jones wanted, Abel dissociates, knowing she has not done anything wrong and desperate to get out of there. Abel signs the documents without digging. Oh, I'm sorry. Where did I lock? Okay. Abel hands over her personal laptop, signs the documents without digesting their content. Afterwards, the lawyer demands that she hands over her personal laptop. Again, stop right there. Why are you? That's your personal laptop. I would have said no. The moment that man asked me for my personal laptop, it would have been a no. But somehow she lets that go too. So I don't, it continues to give then you not stupid. I don't want to call her stupid, but somebody says so much stupidity. It's just, yeah, they made her unlock her phone, but they took it. Like they took the actual physical phone. Not only was the phone not password. Oh, okay. You're answering somebody's question. Yeah, it was password protected. They made her unlock it. And then they were like, yeah, you can't even leave here with it. So knowing she had done nothing wrong, desperate to get out of there, Abel signs the documents without digesting their content. Afterwards, the lawyer demands that Abel hands over her personal laptop. Abel complies, and the IT professional conducts a search that turns up nothing. Why would you have like a forensic IT person just on standby? Why? Because this is a very weird way. Because this is not a termination like meeting, right? Let me see. I've never had like a corporate job or whatever, so I don't know how terminations work. Those of you in the on the comments who've had like corporate jobs and have been terminated, let me know. Is that how you get terminated from your corporate jobs? Like, do you get called up and they take your personal stuff and an IT person digs through it and then they send you, or oh, 100%. Andrea says Stephanie is insane. 100%. Stephanie is cuckoo. Stephanie's 100% insane. Do you guys in the comments let me know, when you guys have had like corporate jobs or anything like that, do your bosses call you and like have forensic people look through it before they fire you? I feel like that only happens if like the firing or the termination is hostile, right? Typically you don't do that. You just ask people to clean off your personal stuff and bring back the devices maybe. Okay, let's continue. Then again, I remember Jen did say there were armed guards on standby. Okay, if it's personal items, they can't ask for that. MJ, you have a corporate job phone and laptop. Okay, what happens? Like, what is the process there? Interesting. Yes, she was quitting with notice. She did give notice. So I don't know why you would feel the need to like call her up. Oh, you just return it. That's what I would think, right? Especially when she wasn't even being fired. I don't know why I'm even giving excuses here. She was quitting. She gave proper notice. She was leaving. She didn't want to work with you anymore because you were toxic. Okay. Able complies and IT professional conducts a search. We're right here, if you're following. Conducts a search that turns up nothing. The attorney then presents Able with a list of approximately 10 documents and accuses her of having accessed and stolen them. What? Able denies having done so, and the IT specialist conducts a further search on her laptop, which again turns up nothing. Again, all roads lead back to Stephanie Jones being vindictive, being shady, and probably realizing she can't do shit without Jen Able, because probably Jen was the one running that office. Jen was the one running the show, right? So if you're Stephanie Jones, you're like, oh my God, she's going to leave me. You're probably shaking in your boots. The attorney then instructs Able to hand over her phone, after which security would escort her out of the building. Still utterly shell-shocked and desperate to get out of there, Able agrees to hand over the phone. Jenny. So long as they will confirm that Jonesworks will immediately release her personal cell phone number, allowing Jonesworks to take possession of the physical device without gaining unrestrained access to its contents. It will also enable Able to get a new phone and move on with her life without undue disruption. Able pleads with Jones to release her number in a text the following day. I've had my phone number since like middle school, but I've also never had a corporate job where they're buying me a phone or providing me a phone or anything like that. So I completely understand her just wanting to get out of there and be like, I just want my phone number back. Because like I just recently I had gone to change my phone and they asked if I wanted to change my phone number. And I thought about it for a second, right? Because I'm like, I've had this phone number for so long. I'm like, oh, sometimes like the spam calls I get throughout the day is ridiculous because I've had the phone for over 10 years, over 15 years, the number. But I could see why at the same time I was like, no, I'm not going to change it because I've used this number for everything. So I completely understand why she didn't want to let it go. Now, the whole reason I read through everything was to make sure we all understood. At no point during this encounter did they tell Jen Able, hey, there's a subpoena for this, right? They just made her sign documents. And the reason I 100% believe Brian Friedman when he says in the Daily Mail article, he didn't know about it until they called to get confirmation is Brian Friedman would have torn the subpoena apart back in December, back in January. He would have brought this up. We would have talked about this by now. This wouldn't be such a like thing hanging over everybody's head. But the fact that just text me. Oh, the fact that Brian Friedman is saying he knew nothing about it 100% makes me believe they had no plans of letting this come out. And my husband was saying something earlier when I was doing my research on this before I came live. He was like, well, if they've used this Van Zandt company for this, what else would they have used it for? And now my spidey senses are like tingling everywhere. If they've used this Van Zandt company for this, what else would they have used it for? You got like the options are endless. The possibilities are endless. If you have no qualms about filing a fake lawsuit, a sham of a lawsuit, skirting the process, what else would you have used this company for? Let's get to Amy's super chat really quickly. The only time is if it's a hostile layoff, fired to be escorted. I have worked for corporate for over 25 years. I think so too. And I've never worked in corporate. Thank you, Amy, for that. I 100% believe if you are being fired like hostily, like if you really think, the person is harming the company or putting the company through, distress or anything like that, then you bring them up to the office. And even then, I feel like there is still better due process. But for somebody who said they were quitting to be treated like this is crazy, especially when we have text messages of you, Stephanie Jones, I believe, trying to pretty much get her to stay. Let me see if I missed. Oh, Amy again. Thank you so much, Amy, for the 5 gifted. I guess 10 gifted now. Typically, you reset everything, hand it over, but no analysis is done unless you are fired for criminal reasons. Thank you, Amy. Amy is coming on board as our forensic corporate analyst. Thank you so much. I appreciate the insight, Amy. Let me take a look because I wanted to show you guys the text messages between Jen and what's her face? Stephanie Jones, when she said she was quitting. I believe she was pretty much not begging, but she was pretty much trying to convince her to stick around. Let me see. I thought I had marked the spot, but maybe I missed it. But she gave notice. She didn't try to like skirt the process like they are here. She didn't try to like just roll up one day at work and it's like, oh, I'm leaving, never to be heard from again. She gave proper notice. And then there is, parts where everything was going on, where Stephanie Jones kept trying to insert herself into stuff. She would call Jamie Heath and Justin and be like, oh, by the way, I talked to the Daily Mail. I gave them, this information. And Jamie Heath and Justin would pretty much tell her, like, no, we're not, pretty much like, we're not interested in going back and forth with the Daily Mail like that. Like, we're not trying to have information out there like that. So please do us a favor and not go through that. Let me finish this Daily Mail article so we can move on. Thank you so much for the gifted, Amy. So Friedman said he had no knowledge about the lawsuit until Daily Mail contacted him for comment, which I 100% believe, because if he knew about it, I'm pretty sure he would have done numbers with this subpoena. Lively's lawyer said the newly uncovered lawsuit was common and entirely appropriate. Of course, they would think so. Court papers show the shadow lawsuit was filed in Manhattan Supreme Court on September 27th by a company called Van Zandt. We know that now. The lawsuit accused up to 10 unidentified individuals. And I didn't know these John Doe lawsuits were a real thing. Like, I've heard of them before, but I didn't know you could literally file a lawsuit against a nobody for now. You cannot go to trial suing nobody. But I didn't know you could just, go up to a judge and be like, hey, Your Honor, by the way, for now, I want to sue, but I don't know who I'm suing. I'm just letting you know that I plan to sue and I need this and that and that. And I feel like that process moved very fast because it didn't seem like they went through anything to get that subpoena. Now, though, if you're the judge that signed that subpoena, are you looking at yourself like a patsy? Like, do you feel like used in this situation? Because imagine if you're the judge that signed this, whoever, is Amy a corporate lawyer or is Amy just a corporate insider? Because if she's a corporate lawyer, I have another question for her. Because if you're the judge that signed this, or if anybody in the chat is a lawyer, let me know. Too late to rescind the decision to put Blake in. It might be too late, but this could be the first time in history they could do it. Because I don't know how you go from... And that's another thing I wanted to mention. The smear campaign couldn't have worked if you're on Time Magazine's 100 list, right? If you're saying the smear campaign was so good and it hurt you and this and that, how are you on Time Magazine's 100 most influential people? So I'm gonna go ahead and say the smear campaign was not that freaking active, because if it was, you would be in a hole somewhere right now. Let's see. They participated and may continue to participate in efforts to harm the plaintiff, including by failing to act in plaintiff's best interest, taking action to their personal benefit at plaintiff's expense, failing to freely communicate with plaintiffs regarding matters that impact plaintiff's business and reputation, and disclosing to third parties, and failing to keep strictly confidential plaintiff's confidential and or private information. Where is the SH? I'm sorry, but I've read this thing back and forth and back and forth. Where is the sexual harassment? Because I don't see it. They have participated. I'm sorry, but I don't. This seems to be like a reputational thing. They were trying to protect some form of reputation or uncover confidential, like keep confidential stuff from coming out. But there is nothing here I've seen or read that says SH. There is nothing here. Oh, are we getting there? Nowhere in the suit submitted by New York attorney Samantha Katz does it name any person on either side allowing this case to slip unnoticed into the legal system. Van Zandt Inc. I was trying to figure out what Van Zandt could mean, and I haven't figured that out yet. All I know is Ryan Reynolds goes by Van City Reynolds or something like that. So I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and say that Van is him. And then we're going to figure out what the Zan is another time, right? I don't know. Maybe you guys can help me figure that out. Does anybody know what that is? It wasn't a subpoena from Cali. It was New York. Yes, it was New York, not California. Let's see. So this is the actual subpoena, the summons, the basis of blah blah blah, and the address I guess listed on here is an address that links to Blake and Ryan's current businesses, so we know it's their company. They can't get away from this one. To the above named defendants, you are hereby summoned to answer the complaint in this action and to serve up a copy of your answer, or if the complaint is not served within the summons, to serve a notice of appearance on the plaintiff's attorney within 20 days after service of the summons, exclusive of the day of service, or within 30 days after the service is complete. And if the summons is not personally delivered to you with the state of New York, and in case of your failure to appear to answer, judgment will be taken in by your default of relief demanded in the complaint. So this was on September 27th, 2024. And just barely, this does not make sense. Okay, so I know Blake Lively keeps telling people, you know, she meant to file this lawsuit and she was working on it for months. Did she snitch on herself? Because, you know, whenever we've been making the argument that she never meant to file a lawsuit and she assumed the CRD complaint would be enough for her. And I think just a couple of days ago, the Daily Mail and other publications said Blake is actually saying she did, in fact, mean to file a suit and it had been in the work for months. Did she inadvertently what do you call the word? Confirm that she was working on this for months, as in like she had the subpoena, fake subpoena, and that's what she means by working on it for months? And now, to me, what does this mean for the New York Times, right? Does this all of a sudden mean the New York Times gets some form of protection? Or can the New York Times sue? Let me know. Where are my lawyers at? Does this make that's my question too. It damn sure does. In fact, I think this allows for a new lawsuit. Right? If you're Brian Friedman, you're rubbing your hands together. If you're Justin, you're rubbing your hands together, because this, to me, this allows you to open a new lawsuit. You can sue for this. Jen Abel can sue for this. Brian Friedman can bring a whole new set of suits, unless I'm tripping and I know nothing about the law, but I feel like this allows for new lawsuits to be brought. The boys are just being boys. Hi, Leanne. Oh, Leanne, hi. Leanne is our lawyer. Leanne, how are you? Do you want to come and answer some questions for me? Look at God. I knew God liked me, not just because of my clear skin, But because I say, hey, do we have a lawyer in the house? And I'm asking lawyer questions and Leanne pops up. Leanne, do you want me to send you a link really quickly? Do you want to come and help me answer some lawyer questions? And I know it's late for you in London. We can do a British accent the whole time if you want to. Please let me know. I'm messaging you right now, Leanne, if you want to come up. You see how God works in mysterious ways, guys? I needed lawyer answers, and here comes a lawyer. Of course, voice only is great. See? I really might be one of God's favorites, y'all. Here comes Leanne. Here, I'm gonna send her the link right now. I knew I needed lawyer answers, and here comes Leanne. All right, you guys, give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna have Leanne come up in 2 seconds. Good Lord, Leanne, I just realized you sent me happy birthday and I never saw it till right now because I never go on X. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, I text Leanne. So let's see. Let's give her some time to come in here. Oh, thank you, Gina. Tarzana is Blake City? What does that mean? So is Van Zan, Ryan, and Blake. What does that mean? I saw a super chat I didn't want to miss. Oh my God, Amy, my heart. Thank you for the 10 gifted. Amy, girl, you about to send me to the Gucci store. Whenever you give notice, always be prepared that a company may walk you right out. You may lose 2 weeks notice, but okay. Okay. Oh, this is Sam. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, Amy, girl, I'm going shopping on you. I deal with personal information as I am RE appraiser for banks. Oh, we've had recent layoffs, company phone, reset to original settings, delete all your personal info. Oh, okay. Look, Amy's giving y'all real information here, okay? Amy's giving y'all. Oh, Agatha. Thank you, Agatha. I really appreciate the love all the way from Switzerland. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. We're waiting for Leanne if she has the chance to come and answer some lawyer questions for me. Leanne, I messaged you on X, so let me know when you see it. Oh, Tarzana is okay. Somebody is saying Vancouver is Ryan and Tarzana is Blake. So Van Zan. Got it. We solved that very quickly. All right, you guys, we have everybody's favorite British English lawyer in the house. Oh, somebody says mystery singer says don't waste your money on name brand. It's all the same, made in China. Mystery singer, I love the fact that you think I'm actually walking into a Gucci store. And it's actually funny to me that Americans are acting like they didn't know everything was made in China. Like I buy from China anyway. All right, Leanne is here. Hi, Lee. How are you?
Are you okay?
Leanne, you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you. But I think just so is there an echo, you guys? I might need to put in headphones so we don't have an echo situation. Can you guys hear Leanne? I want to make sure that okay, everybody can hear you. Great. Okay. Hi, Leanne. How have you been?
I've been busy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Busy on this.
I'm sure. I've been trying to catch up on sleep. I've been very tired and trying to catch up on sleep. How has your sleep been recently?
Oh my goodness. I think if I had 2 hours last night, because all of this went off like in the middle of the night, my time. So I got on a stream with Lauren, which lasted 2 hours. It started at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Typically,
I've just come off another hour and a half with Daily Dose of Dana.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. I'm not gonna keep you.
No,
I'm gonna try not to.
I'm good. It's not late. I'm happy.
Okay. All right. Great. Then I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. So the echo is gone. Are you guys saying that they were saying there was an echo, and I thought it was me? But are you guys saying the echo is gone now?
I think it was me because I still
Oh,
had still had your
okay.
show playing on my phone when I was coming in this on the laptop.
I see.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. So what do you think about all of this? I mean, I don't know what you obviously you're Leanne, so you've got a chance to see all the legal stuff. And I typically, I would be on top of this and I would see everything. But I've been so busy with the packages because you were on the stream with us for when we did the charity
Yeah.
drive. Thank you so much for joining. I've
Oh,
you
exactly.
guys, everybody went crazy. They sent an incredible amount of stuff, and I assumed I would get a few things, but I actually ended up getting an abundance of things. So my husband and I are actually currently unboxing everything and then packaging individual bags for the kids. So it's giving me some extra work to do, which I love. But I've been so tied up in that. And I was like, oh, the best way I'm going to do this is put my phone away. So I wasn't paying attention last night. I didn't know anything that was going on till this morning. And everything kind of hit me like a truck. So what have
Right? I
you,
know.
figured out? What have you come up with?
Wow. I I mean, personally, I've had an issue with this subpoena for, well, since it first come out, like my first thought when I saw the CRD was, how did they get these? And they did mention a subpoena. I was like, where's the subpoena? And then
Exactly.
I go through all the filings that come through, and like every Stephanie Jones and every Blake Lively filing was like, oh, there's a subpoena. And then you get the Wayfarer ones, which were like, there's no subpoena. So I've been perplexed, and I have genuinely felt that there is that the subpoena, the answers to whatever has happened here, hold
Mhm.
the key to some of this information about more extensively the collusion that's been going on behind the scenes. Um, it's wild. um, I think it's an abuse of the process. I do. Um, we obviously knew from Brian Friedman's comments and the oppositions to the motions, they hadn't seen the subpoena and given notice and a copy. I kind of covered that in one of my threads. I cited both the New York Code of Conduct rule and the California one because we didn't know which state it would have come from. And they both have the same requirement. So the fact that Wayfarer had never seen it tells me that they'd never been given notice. So it was quite obvious there was a problem with it, regardless. Weren't quite sure how much of a problem. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I had some people sort of suggesting, oh, well, they just knocked the subpoena up. I, I, I never once for a second thought that a firm of lawyers would do that. There had to be a subpoena and it had to come from somewhere. But yeah, this is for me. I know there's a few difference of opinions. For me, it's this is not the way to do it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one of my biggest things too, because I'm not shocked. And again, I hate to see people, reacting shocked to this because what are you shocked about? Like we left
Yeah,
shock
yeah.
back in January. Nothing shocks
Oh
me
yeah,
anymore. I think I've gotten to the point where everything just makes sense now. Is that
yes,
how you're feeling? Like everything is falling into
yeah,
place. I'm not shocked. Like I hear it and I'm
absolutely.
like, okay, makes sense.
Well, look at the parties we're dealing with. Because I put together. Now, yesterday I spent time putting up some posts. I went back through. I had to do the Stephanie Jones Wayfarer. Um, I think it was the opposite. No, her motion to dismiss. So I had to do that anyway. I was catching up from like the week before. Um, and when I was going through it, I kind of looked back at the original filing, her original complaint, Stephanie Jones's, and I was like finding stuff, but I hadn't paid attention to it, when it's first all come out.
Mhm.
And I was like looking into it, and the more I looked into it, I thought they've been colluding longer. Like I was my personal hypothesis was that Leslie Sloan and Stephanie Jones were working together
100.
from August at the latest.
Yeah.
And this kind of brings it all together because when I look through this filing, um, it the company name, yeah, it was a Blake Lively company,
Mhm.
but the actual substance of the claim inside it was almost identical to the claim that Stephanie Jones has currently got against Jen Abel. And I
Exactly.
was like, wow, you know, because everyone was like, oh, it's got no I don't want to demonetize it. It's got no SH allegations in it. It's not about SH. And I was like, well,
Yeah,
no, it's actually. I'm not expecting it to be about that because it's a completely different claim. It is about, you know, and I think the company. I keep getting it wrong. Van Zan.
Van Zandt. Yeah.
Uh,
So apparently it's
yeah,
Vancouver and Tarzan City. So Van Zandt.
it might be. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
But they're kind of the claim in it is that they're the employee. Sorry, they're the employer, and you know they basically bring in a claim um,
Yeah.
for breach of contract, etc., against an employee. But then they've
Hmm.
got these 10 Doe defendants. They're not sure who it is.
Exactly.
But the actual claim is almost identical to Stephanie Jones's against Jennifer Abel.
Jennifer Abels, exactly. And
Yeah.
just before you got on, I don't know if you got a chance to, I don't know if you got a chance to listen, but I had pulled up my favorite website, which is the timeline of relevant events. I don't know what your favorite website is throughout this whole thing, but I love being able to just because I love how meticulous they were with the dates and the timing. It's again, it's helped me so much put two and two together.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing, because I was like, the reason I brought it up is Brian Friedman. I don't know if you got a chance to see today told Daily Mail he didn't know about this. And a lot of people are like, what does
No.
he mean he didn't know about it? And I was like, it makes sense because, and again, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure when you serve a subpoena, you're supposed to hand the subpoena to the person and
Oh,
say,
yeah.
this is what I'm subpoenaing you for. Am I correct?
That would be the case. So the service would be like in this situation, it would be on Stephanie Jones or
Right.
Jones Works. So that would be the service. The notice goes to the parties who are
To
going to
the
be
party.
affected
Right.
or who are going to be potentially sued. So,
Right.
but it's the same thing. They still get a copy, you know, and they get,
Exactly.
I think it's 10 days if it's electronic, or you get double time, like if it's in person. I'm not 100% sure, but
Of
I'm pretty
course.
sure I saw Omar say that. So
Exactly.
they get so that they can lodge their motions and for objections, and you know if they want to move to petition, if they want to move to quash the subpoena, they made like like they did at the start of this case with Blake Lively's over the top broad one.
Hmm.
But they were denied all of that.
Exactly. Which I think it's and again, that's what brought me to page 149 of the timeline of relevant events, because we know, because it would be ridiculous of Stephanie of Jen Abel, I'm sorry, to not let her attorney know, by the way, I was handed a subpoena
Yeah.
before I handed my phone over. But that's because she never handed a subpoena. She didn't have an attorney with her, nothing. All it says, and I'm going to read it again, if anybody didn't get a chance to see when we talked about that section right here on August 21st, 2 days before her last day, working with Stephanie Jones, Abel pulls up to the Jones Works office in Beverly Hills. There she's confronted by a physically imposing security guard, a lawyer sitting at a conference table, not her lawyer, definitely somebody,
No.
representing Stephanie Jones. And they don't say here it's a lawyer, maybe even Jen Abel knew. And if this was, a lawyer that had worked with Stephanie Jones for a while, you would think Jen would have maybe said, the lawyer for Stephanie Jones, but they just a lawyer and covered in documents and an IT professional. Why would you have it is so bizarre to have an IT professional, a forensics IT person on standby, and then you
Well, they
make
do
Jen
actually.
go ahead.
No, exactly, and they do actually. I think in when Jennifer Abel kind of when she did a counterclaim, she actually identified her as like a proper forensics IT specialist. She named the company as well as like, oh, I can't remember, Edge something. Like a top-notch forensics computer specialist.
Right.
But I have never, I don't, even if you think that your employee is stealing company information, You are if you're terminating them, you're retaining the devices. Why do you need to have someone there?
to go
Because
through it.
Jen Abel went to work, did not know all this was coming. So, like in the UK, you have to give notice for these sort of things. You have to give 24 hours notice
Yeah.
for any kind of disciplinary or grievance meeting in employment law. So she went turned up that there was no notice that any of this was coming. And bearing in mind that, like it says there, the chief of staff had actually flown from New York to be there. So it sounds very planned
It was
and
planned.
organized. And I believe, and then only a couple of hours later, Stephanie Jones has got all the information and relayed it to Leslie Sloan, who has then made contact with Melissa Nathan and told her to expect to be sued. That doesn't sound like it all happened organically to me.
At all. That sounds like it was in the works. No pun
Yeah,
intended on Jones' works or whatever. It sounds like it was in the works for a long time. Like, this is how it's gonna happen. She's gonna come in. We're gonna take it. We're gonna search the phone, because it goes on to say that the lawyer points to the documents in a menacing and cold tone. The attorney points to the documents and tells Abel to review and sign them. The attorney claims that Jones Works believes she had proprietary information on her personal laptop and will likely have grounds to sue if Abel does not allow them access. Now, if you are not trying to be shady, if you already had the subpoena that you filed, why don't you just wait for the subpoena to clear, use it to get your information, but rather, which you couldn't have done that because Blake Lively had no business with Jones Works, therefore no business with Jen Abel. So why would you threaten to sue her if she doesn't let it go when you know for a fact you are doing something shady behind the scenes? I mean, it's just so bold. I mean, I can understand
yeah.
Blake and everybody doing this, but why would these lawyers allow this? I mean, as a lawyer, do you feel a little icky? Because I feel icky for these lawyers.
Oh, I feel disappointed. I do.
Oh,
I feel like this is a massive letdown for the profession. I know there are some lawyers out there who are sort of, no, no, this is good lawyering.
no.
It's unfair. How can you? I know like the law when you argue in the law, it's about strategy. It is about gamesmanship. Definitely, no, there's no doubt about
Of
that.
course. Of course.
But you don't skip over due process and deny. If you've got a really, I've been saying this all day, so I probably sound a bit repetitive if some people have heard
Oh,
me say it, but
this would be my first
I
time, and so
no,
go
no,
ahead.
no.
Tell me.
I feel like if you have a good case, because we saw, like with this lawsuit, right? The lawsuit was filed for 5 minutes and then they were already issuing subpoenas. That's how quickly that happens.
With
If
New
you,
York Times
she's,
articles ready to come
yeah,
out.
she's exactly. And the devices were retained. So they weren't going to be destroyed. Nothing was going to be deleted. Not that it being deleted was going to be a problem anyway, because the um the I can't like the software that was used to extract it.
Oh, I forget the
Is
name, but
that
yeah, they made it with the metadata.
Celebrate?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, that's able to retrieve anything that's been deleted too. So
yeah.
there was no danger that they were going to lose it or have the information destroyed. Um, Jones was more than happy to hand it over. Let's be
Yeah.
clear. Um,
She probably
but
offered
she
it up.
needed,
She
yeah, you
probably called
know,
to offer
but
it.
well, yeah, but she had to be careful because I've noticed with the filings, she doesn't seem to care about too much about sharing Jennifer Abel's information. As
Exactly.
far as she's concerned, well, it was on a company phone, so I can do this. But with Wayfarer, she's got that confidentiality clause. I noticed in her motion to dismiss against Wayfarer, I made a bit of a snarky comment and said, "Oh, the number of times I've seen the word subpoena referred to, 7. The number of subpoenas I've actually seen, none." And
Seriously,
I
it's
know,
true.
right? But she was really hammering the point, laboring the point. I got this, I gave this over because of the subpoena. And I got like, there was no danger of anything going missing or getting lost or or Stephanie Jones filing an objection against the subpoena. That was never going to happen. So they could have filed, Blake Lively could have filed, gone through the proper processes, got a subpoena the legitimate and proper way, and avoided all of this, and she still would have got the information. What she wouldn't have been able to do is manipulate it into what, like change the context, put them out of, so on and so she couldn't have got that across. And I think her case, I think she knew her case wouldn't be as strong.
Do you think, though, what does this do for New York? Because just before you came on, that was the question I was asking. Because in my head, I was, researching this and preparing, because I wrote a bunch of stuff down because I thought I was going to have to make a pre-recorded video. Then I was like, no, I don't have the time to record and edit. But what does this mean for New York? Because in my head, I'm like, can New York kind of cover themselves up a little bit with this and be like, well, if even Brian Friedman didn't know about the sham of a subpoena, we didn't think it was a sham either. We believed it. Or now it's New York in a position, New York Times, I mean, in a position
the New York
where,
Times.
yes, are they now in a
Oh,
position where they can they bring charges? I don't think they're gonna sue Blake, because that will just, if New York Times sues Blake, it's game over. But like, can they now have some sort of cover from the Justin lawsuit? And again, I don't know how much this helps the New York Times, which is where I'm getting at, is can the New York Times say, well, we were operating under this assumption that there was a real subpoena, that is why we feel comfortable enough to publish these things in our publication? Or is the onus on them to do their research to make sure this is a real subpoena, and so therefore it doesn't matter even if you believed it or not, you went with it, now you're responsible for whatever came out of it? Or am I tripping to think that's even a real thing?
No. You're so. I mean, this is very much my opinion. I can't guess how Blake Perry's legal team are going to handle it. I don't know. I don't know how Judge Lyman's going to handle it. But if I'm looking at this, my belief, that subpoena was put in front of the Daily Mail, and the Daily Mail made a point of pointing out problems with it, the lack of the court seal and the lack of case number. I'm
Right.
surprised they didn't. They should have commented as well. I'm surprised they didn't comment, and I think I know why. But they didn't comment that the plaintiff was not what any of these parties,
Exactly.
because that would have had the Van San as the
Right.
plaintiff on that document. The New York Times, I personally think that they're in a bit of trouble here. And the reason I do is because they see subpoenas all the time. They're always reporting.
Exactly.
They should have been, if Daily Mail can pick up the problems, then
Why can't you?
why didn't the New York Times? And I believe that this, because there was an agenda here. You've got, I don't, I mean, again, this is just speculation, but there's potential for another Me Too story.
Yeah.
And the
100%.
last time they did a Me Too story, the journalist won a Pulitzer Prize.
I you're not lying. And again, that's what I had written in my notes, because I was like, if you're the New York Times, I feel like to even get a job at whatever law firm, I don't know what law firm represents the New York Times, but I feel like they would have in-house counsel. To even get a job to work as a mail clerk at the New York Times, you probably need to have a master's degree at this point.
Oh yeah.
Like so you're telling me you don't have one person on staff on your legal team, in your legal, section of your building, that was like, oh, this is what they presented, this looks absolutely not real, and we're not running with this? Or did they jump on that grenade so fast for Blake, if the speculation is true that, Taylor Swift got her in the door? And were they also operating with the same belief and the vim and the vigor that Blake was working with, in the sense that this is a man, and I've said this from beginning, I've said this till today, they could have picked any director in Hollywood. They could have picked any man to put this story on, and that man would have been under the jail by now if this was a criminal case, They picked the wrong guy. Like, you could pick anybody. I'm not believing Justin did this. Till the day I go see the king, till the day I go to heaven, I'm going to hell. I'm going to heaven, wherever I go, believing he didn't do this. And I think they continue to miss the point here. You picked the wrong guy. Had they picked anybody, this case would have ended in January. Don't you think so?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think that's the thing, right? Is like he strikes me as the nicest, most passive guy, um, potentially prone to getting taken advantage of. I
100%.
think, but even even people like that have limits. And the
Hmm.
thing with Justin Baldoni is, I think they misunderstood that, Steve Sarowitz has a vested interest in using his wealth to
Oh
protect. I
yeah.
mean, he's the co-founder of Wayfarer too. He is
Oh
being
yeah.
sued. He is not there financially backing Justin Baldoni for the fun of it.
Well, exactly. It's
But
not for shits and giggles. He's like,
no,
you have to have shit to
it's
protect.
not. But I mean, and if he hadn't been there, I think unless Brian Friedman, and I could see him doing it as well. Um,
Working for
with
free for now. Pro
Yeah,
bono.
do some kind of pro bono. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that actually happening, or we crowdfund for him, which I
Yeah.
absolutely would have.
Yeah.
Then I think because you look at what they're doing with Jed Wallace, right? The guy has literally come out and said, "Look, I've got a serious health problem. I've
Yep.
got no financial resources," and then they go and bury him with an 800-page file, and he's got to pay his lawyer
And
to
then dox
read,
it. And then put his
and
health
then dox
information
them.
out there.
Yeah. So it's like, wow, the tactics are terrible. But just to go back to the New York Times.
Yeah.
I do actually think the New York Times are in a bit of trouble, and I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm speculating here, but I mean, October was an interesting month because you had the subpoena at the start of it, and then you got the
Hmm.
metadata at the end of it.
Hmm.
And the New York Times is already on the hook and being accused, probably fairly, of some kind of collusion going on. Whether some of it they were duped a little bit,
Yeah.
or just they kind of went a bit quick off the mark. I think they did. I don't think they did the due diligence that they should have because they've made statements now which kind of put them on the hook for defamation.
Yeah.
But they were definitely working with the Livelies
Hmm.
um,
Lively.
and
That's
their
funny.
team. The Livelies.
The
Um,
Lively Reynolds
they were
clan.
yeah, they were definitely working with them in October. So, and the October 31st date, um, that is just the earliest date. That is
Yeah.
when it appears that those text messages, Blake Lively already had them, and they had put them in the possession of the New York Times because the metadata, which is something that's my find actually. I
Oh
found
yes,
that,
it
but
was you, Leanne, the
I did,
metadata. I
yes.
heard it from Melanie, but it was you. Yeah.
Yeah, Melanie report because I had no social media at the time, so
Yeah.
I found it. Melanie reported it. Yes, that's very true. Um, so I do think that they may well have been working before the 31st even, but
Yeah.
on the 31st, those these text messages in question actually went on to into the document that eventually come out 2 months later as the New York Times article. I don't think
Yes.
they're innocent.
Not at all. Not at all. And somebody had asked, what would Justin do without I think somebody named Khaleesi. And I think about that every day, especially because I remember when this thing started. And I didn't
Mm.
have social media either. The fact that I'm sitting here doing a live will always be the funniest thing to me ever because I never
Oh
thought I could be
yeah,
a person that could turn on their camera and just talk. But without content creators reporting this, what would Justin do? And I remember specifically when this whole thing started, I was watching CNN. I wasn't even watching CNN on TV. I was on my phone on
yeah,
Instagram, and this young woman works for CNN. I can never remember her name. She has these like cute beady eyes, but she was so intensely reporting. I mean, her reporting was definitely pro Blake. You could hear the hate
yeah.
in her voice whenever she would talk about Justin. And I remember being very angry because I was like, what are you talking about? You probably have no idea what this situation is
No,
about. And ever since then, I don't think I've when Blake came out with her accusations, everybody was reporting. As soon as
yeah.
Justin came with proof, everybody went
Oh,
back
they
in
shut
their
up.
hiding
Yeah, they
holes
stopped.
and they
No,
shut
you're
up.
right.
Like I haven't heard a
Ev-
beep.
everyone read, saw the New York Times article. Most
Mhm.
people I speak to have no idea what's happened since, and
After
that's
that,
such a shame.
What
But
is
I
so
mean,
scary?
I do, to sort of respond to that point though about the content creators. I was speaking to CJ about this,
Mhm.
citizen journalist,
Yeah.
and we were talking, and I said to her, "Do you know? I do feel that the timeline, because that come out when I found the metadata, they amended the lawsuit, and then they
Yeah.
brought out this timeline,
Mhm.
and there was a lot of moments like lawyers don't normally give kind of credit to people, to kind of sleuths, as he's called us, and things like that. So
Exactly.
although he's not naming people by names, which I don't expect him to do anyway, he has acknowledged the help of, the citizen journalists and the internet sleuths. I've said to CJ, I think that people actually, I think that Brian Friedman put that timeline out to have us all
Oh,
going and
God.
making all these connections and looking what happened on that date,
Yeah.
what happened on that day. And
Yes.
we have, I think it's been a community as well. It's absolutely been an amazing community. I'm proud as punch to be part of it. And between everyone, we have found so much. I'm not saying
Yeah.
they wouldn't have found it themselves,
Of course.
but it saves the time and the bill, the
For the
billing costs and
associates.
everything.
Yeah.
And it's like achievements then, because we're seeing, we're helping justice being done.
Yeah. A
That
hundred
was a bit
percent.
of a mission statement there. Sorry.
No, 100%. And I concur 100% because I specifically remember, and the reason I even turned again, remember, I was never this. I was never a content creator, which
Yeah,
every day I wonder, I'm like, well, as soon as this case settles, I guess I will turn the camera off and I'll go back to my regular life. I don't know if you guys will allow me to do that because people will probably be asking me to talk about. And I was like, I actually might need to start talking about other things just so, people know me for more than just this. But I
yeah,
turned on my camera because I was like, this is injustice if I've ever seen it. And there are so many injustices that have gone on before today, but I had never felt
yeah,
compelled to turn my camera on or to speak about it. But for some reason, there was something about this case that would not allow me to go to bed at
yeah.
night without giving my
It,
2 cents.
it's going to
And
be massive. I mean, for me
huge.
personally, my backstory, which I've got no problem. It's already kind of been made publicly aware. But like my first marriage was awful. And it was a domestic violence situation,
I'm
and
sorry.
I had a lot of hope in this film. I had a lot of hope in
Oh,
Justin Baldoni. I've seen how he's handled difficult situations and
yeah.
topics, and he does it all justice. And I was so excited. And then it come out, the marketing come out, it all, and I was like, oh my god. And then
Yeah.
when the allegations dropped, it was absolutely awful. I found the metadata, and then I thought, right, well, that's the end of my bit. you know, that'll be all I ever do. But then I noticed that LawTube, because when I was watching Depp Heard, I was watching all the LawTubers. They seemed to be missing in action. There was no one was talking about it. So I kind of come in, and I thought, right, well, I'm still not at a point where I put my face on camera, but
Of
I
course.
started talking that first time actually on Popcorn Planet was my actual first time. I've done a
Really?
few shows, and yeah, it really was.
For the
I was
charity?
so nervous. Yeah, the charity.
Oh,
It
I
was the
remember because I was
first
like, I'm
time.
gonna make you feel comfortable by speaking in a British accent.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing it, I think, a bit more because I've had such great feedback about my accent. People seem to just love it, and I don't know why, but I get it. That's nice and everything. But I was like, oh, well, there's a no, I could do something like I can talk about these, but I'm not a US lawyer by any
Mhm.
stretch. I'm not trained. I studied the bar. I didn't take the exam. That was a decade ago as well. But my qualifications are UK law.
In the UK, right?
I have the transferable skills. I can interpret the law and read the law.
Of
But
course.
when I do my threads, even like a 30, 40 page document, which is one of the smaller ones, I can take 5 or 6 hours because I've got to read it and then I've got to highlight it and then I've got to go away and I've got to look up all the law, the legislation, I've got to look up the cases. And then then I come back and I actually to put the thread together. Then all in all, that takes about 6 hours. When I did the Jed Wallace 800-page one, it was 16 hours solid.
Oh wow.
It was mental. It's worth it though, because I've got
Yeah.
them there. I can go back and forth. I can, can link them into, like, if I do another thread and one of my older ones is relevant, I can just link it. And if I then wanted to, because I'm moving on to Patreon and YouTube, uh,
Mhm.
I've got all my content there
Oh, you're on
in
YouTube now?
detail. I've got a channel. Yeah, we're building.
Oh.
I'm getting some great help from my friends actually, Brett and Aiko. Brett is the guy with the dog that he worked with Ryan Reynolds on dog on Deadpool
Oh
2,
yes,
and
yes, yes.
they stole the dog pool to mock him. Um,
Wow. Yeah, I
so
remember.
they are actually helping me with all my logos and branding and getting started and everything. But yes, I am coming to YouTube.
Okay. You guys, I'm gonna link Leanne's stuff whenever we are over. It's gonna be in the description, and I'll just make sure. And every time we go live, I'm gonna try to remind you guys because she's a lawyer. Even though she doesn't practice U.S. law, she understands it enough to make it digestible for us laymen and lay women. So she's who you want to go to if you're trying to understand. So definitely make sure you follow Leanne when she has everything set up. But I again, and Leanne is absolutely correct. Like when everything started, like there are multiple people joined for different things. People came over because, and if you didn't know Justin, now people are getting a chance to know him, which I think helps also because I've
Yeah,
known him from
definitely.
Jane, and I watch Clouds, and I never knew about cystic fibrosis like that till I watched 5 Feet Apart, which was a great movie. It was done beautifully.
It
Like
was
I believed
it was such a
everything I was
great
watching,
film.
right? Then Clouds was
Yeah.
amazing. And even his proposal video, which a lot of people call cheesy. I'm like, it's cheesy up until somebody wants to do it for you. You
It's
you just
easy, but oh my God, it's so personal to them, I mean, she
exactly.
said yes.
It
She must
worked
have
for
loved it.
her. She said no, then
Yeah,
you have a problem. She said yeah, she was in tears.
exactly.
She loved it. So what are you mad about? I love that video. Every time I see it, I'm like, even though I'm not that type, like I don't want that much attention on me ever. Like I will probably like
Mm.
get hives
Yeah,
if I had to be in that position. But I was watching in so much all he knew who he was marrying. He did what she wanted. So again, that's
yeah.
besides the point. But I remember specifically, I turned on my camera because I was like, whenever I would watch, and I remember the first video I saw of Donna, and I told her she was like walking down a set of staircase, and she was talking about how she thinks she cracked the code, like Blake fell in love with Justin or something like that. And I remember seeing that, and I was like, I don't think it was that. I think it was that she was
No,
expecting him to fawn all over her. And when it
I think
was
it
like a
was.
very platonic, she didn't understand why
Yeah,
he was just nice, but didn't
I
want
think
anything from her.
you get it from the filing though that I think she thought everyone would fall over. I mean, even the OBGYN
Yes.
allegation is, it's like, oh, he brought all his friends and, Steve Sarowitz flew in especially just because I was going to
Which
be
he
there,
wasn't
nearly
there.
nude.
Steve wasn't
He
there for
wasn't
that
there.
scene.
She wasn't nude or nearly nude. And,
So,
and that annoyed. I think that's the moment where I was like, when I read it and I looked and I checked this guy's credentials because such an easy thing to debunk. And then when that annoyed me that did and I got when I did because I don't just do the law, I do the deep dives on the individuals and everything. And when I did Adam Monshine's deep dive, that was because that was so emotional actually because the guy's been purported as some kind of pervert, who's not
absolutely.
even an actor when the guy is like he's more qualified for a non-speaking role than Blake
Yeah,
Lively is for being the star of the film.
exactly.
And he came out a couple of days later, didn't he? And he's like, gave his side of the story and
Yeah.
everything. A few days after my deep dive drop. So I'm glad the guy got a voice. That was really
Yeah.
important.
Same. I have another question for you, Leanne, because I was like,
Okay.
if we're going with the sham of a lawsuit, a sham of a subpoena that this subpoena is, does that
Yeah.
now in turn make this entire lawsuit? Which I mean, I already know the answer for me, but I don't know the real answers like legalities. But does that make this current lawsuit a sham? Because You filed a sham of a subpoena, a sham of a lawsuit to get information, to now you used to file a sham of a lawsuit that you most likely didn't want to turn into a lawsuit. Because again, I am 100%, I will go to my grave believing this. Blake Lively thought a CRD complaint would have done it. I
Yeah.
think she was expecting the CRD complaint, which it did for a second, for everybody to turn, look at her, be sad for her, be angry for her. She wanted the way we are up in arms for Justin. I think she cannot compute why it's not the opposite. I don't think she can understand why are they not doing that for me? Like, why she was
Yeah.
expecting people to do this for her. So in her
And
head, she's like, no, this was supposed to be me. Justin is taking my shine. That probably pisses her off more, to be honest, more than the
yeah,
fact that
no, I
like,
think so.
it pisses her off more that like people are not having think pieces about why Justin is a horrible person, but rather because there is when you've done that man has so much good karma piled up for him.
Yeah,
He doesn't
no,
have to, you
absolutely.
like when the accused is on vacation and the accuser is selling donuts to look good, it doesn't look good. Like
No,
you shouldn't be doing all of this. Like when have we ever seen the accused on vacation, arms looking good, like eating healthy on the accused normally is the one trying to do charity work and trying to show
yeah,
his face every now and again to buy some goodwill with the public. But Justin has been in Hawaii minding his business surfing. The man is like burning incense probably and sage in the house. And you're right here selling Harry donuts, trying to convince us you're a victim. I've never seen something like this before. So again,
no.
back to my original question. Is there any way we can call this current lawsuit, which I say yes, but you're the lawyer? Can we call this current lawsuit a sham of a lawsuit based on the fact that it started with a sham of a subpoena that never saw a judge's signature or a judge's stamp, and that's the reason we're here? Like,
I,
can we do that?
I mean, I feel like I'm getting more confident to say that. I
Yeah,
kinda, I'm because I'm trying to. I obviously want to be. I've got an opinion. I'm human, but
of
you
course.
know, and I make no secret of the fact that I am pro Justin in this. You know,
Yeah.
I've looked. I read everything. I've read everything far more than most people have.
Yeah.
The evidence is not there, and anything she has said, you know, they have come back and it. The thing is with her, right, is there has been one or two things which are outright lies,
Mhm.
like the guy, you know, saying he's not an actor when he is, but most of it are very innocent interactions which have then been twisted. So then there's like a room for doubt
Um,
where she can sort of sit there and go, well, I felt that way, which, and when you're looking at the definition of SH, you you know it is got it, there's a strict definition for it. And most of her claims don't meet that, they don't meet the threshold for it. You know, a guy staging a set, you know, showing a picture of a birth, you know, like a still picture of a water birth where there is no nudity particularly seen, nothing,
mhm.
you know, and it's not even being done in a kind of a as in a sexual way. It's you know it's
Exactly.
just a creativity discussion. How
Exactly.
you get to because acting's not the same as like normal jobs really. So like if she says, oh well, he lingered a bit long in the kissing scene, well how do you get to how do you
From
settle that?
there.
Because kissing, you know, kissing scenes they
It's the job.
change scene to scene. And Blake Lively herself has actually admitted to, you know, improvising kissing scenes. She actually put in a
Exactly.
footnote, well, yeah, just because I change the number of kisses in scenes doesn't mean he gets to do it. It's like, really,
He's the
you know,
director.
listening to yourself. You've just admitted you did it.
Oh my
Um,
lord.
and
And
and I
it's like
think, you
he's
know,
the director.
yeah, he's the director, but I mean, he did give her, you know, he gave her the artistic license really to craft the scenes how she wanted them. And the thing is, right, is
Yeah.
where was I going with this? Um, yeah, I mean, she had the control, and I mean, the other thing that bothered me as well, again, is, you know, like her initial stance was, well, there was no intimacy coordinator, and then you get the message, like, which says, "Oh, yeah, there was an intimacy coordinator," and by the way, she said she didn't want to go and meet with her, and then the argument then changes from there wasn't one to, well, she didn't have to go and see it. It's like,
Yeah.
The goalposts change constantly. So I am
goalpost
not.
every time. Yeah.
Yeah, to kind of answer the question, like, because I know I often take the long way round up to this, but there are a lot of problems with this, and I think Brian Friedman if you're in a deposition with Brian Friedman, I would be panicking because it not only is like if you do you see oh gosh, did you see right from her first lawsuit to her amended lawsuit, she kind of walked back the whole nearly nude to
She felt generally, I think, not generally nude or something to the effect of like she felt it.
yeah,
She didn't mean she was.
she felt exposed,
Yeah,
and
she felt
right,
exposed,
okay,
but she
so
was
that's a
exposed.
different that's a different claim. But then
That changes
she
the
put
complete. Yeah.
But did but then after all of that, only recently she did that 800-page, I don't know if it was the 800-page. It was one of the motions to no, it was either the response to Jed Wallace's Texas lawsuit, or it was the motion to dismiss from the Texas lawsuit. But in there, she put all these rehashed the sexual harassment claims by Wayfarer, which has
Yeah.
nothing to do with Jed Wallace. But in there, she's not only gone back to, she's now nude completely. Like it's a completely the story has changed again.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, why? What are you doing?
And Lara, one of our members and our mod, and Lara, I hope you feel better. Lara is a little under the weather now, and I've posed this question myself when you brought up the SH claim and claiming Jamie Heath showed you a birth scene. I don't know a single person who's given birth, who's carried 4 children, who's carried 1 child, who would see a woman giving birth, a home birth, whether it was a whole vaginal birth, a C-section, a water birth, and would call it corn. Like nobody's looking at that in a sexual manner. You look at that like for what it is. You can say, oh my God, I don't want to see. Or you can say, oh my God, the beauty of life. But nobody's looking at that and feeling any kind of sexual. So that's very bizarre behavior.
It's
and then to call that a stage, it's so offensive. Like that's where we get at. And then Laura is saying, doesn't it make you wonder if she actually gave birth? Or perhaps hired a surrogate?
It makes you question it, but no, I think she did, because obviously she's breastfeeding, so she had to. Well,
yeah, no,
unless
but
she's induced lactation somehow.
Yeah,
but I mean, a lot of people were sort of like they would. Because I've got children, like I haven't been the other side though to look at what the image kind of like of a woman giving birth. I don't know what I looked like when I was going through my children's birth. So I didn't think it was ridiculous. And a lot of people were like, oh well, she knows what it's like. She's given birth. Yeah, but when you're in that moment, it's different.
Yeah.
You're not looking at you from the outside.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a good creative thing to do. And we don't know. I mean, the scene was a natural birth. It depicted a natural birth. We don't know if she hasn't actually had a cesarean.
Yeah.
We don't know how her children were born.
Exactly.
So, I didn't think it was a bad thing for that Jamie Heath then kind of had an image of, on his phone. Like, and I'm guessing it's the family image of mum, dad together for the, holding their baby in those first moments. It's capturing that.
Yeah. They were in the water. They were in a tub. It's in the, I think I can show that on here. You can't even see anything. That's the disturbing part.
It's
you can't even see what it is.
Photo.
Exactly. Like you have to be told what you're looking at, because like if not, it's kind of dark in the room anyway. And James specifically says, like when it happened, like you barely. Let me just do Control F May because it was in May. he said you like you couldn't tell, number one, but also like he said he played like 1 second, maybe 2 seconds of the video, and right away
Mm,
Blake was like, what are you showing me? I don't want to see corn. And he was like, what? I'm showing you the birth scene that we discussed. And then she apparently turned that into that, which he did tell her what it was ahead of time. So I don't know what her outrage was about, because he specifically, I
no.
think it says when they were eating, he was like, hey, by the way, Justin, I talked to Justin and he said you wanted to see that option for the childbirth, because they were at that point trying to decide which version of the childbirth to go with.
Yeah.
And they had decided, oh, Justin was like, by the way, Jamie had a home birth, so I'm just gonna have him show you that, and then you can decide if that's, which again, I can't, if you are somebody who's had kids, why is this so bothersome to you? Especially the scene where she tries to accuse Adam Monshine of whatever. You could have put on a good performance. You've had kids, again, unless you had a cesarean, so you had no idea how to make it look real. But to completely turn that around and act as though this man showing you a birth scene was the most outrageous thing. This is it. Like, what is hard for you? Can you guys see? I'm showing you now. What about this
No.
is difficult to see? If this would show, that would be great. 1 second. Oh, there we go. What do you, what about this is hard?
No, it's a gorgeous scene, I think.
It's a dad, a mom, and a baby. You can't see anything.
It's
So what do you like? This is so concerning to me, the way, and it's not just this. From the you take Shasti, bring Shasti in the conversation. From the moment Shasti
mm,
congratulated her on her bump, she was
oh, I
met with
know.
vitriol.
I know.
And then
I don't.
and then there are multiple, occasions where she's been congratulated on her baby, and she's reacting to them. Why are you? I think one guy actually asked him, "What are you craving right now?" My wife is currently pregnant, and and then I think he told the guy, "Yeah, your wife is faking. She's just taking advantage of you. We don't crave stuff. We just say that." That's not true. People
No,
actually
he's just
crave
speaking
stuff
for
when they
herself
crave it.
there.
And then the guy was like, "Oh, I was gonna bring you some cookies. Why didn't you bring it?" And then he was like, "Well, because you're pregnant," which is a valid thing to do, because sometimes when people are pregnant, like they can't even stand the smell of certain things that a
Mm,
typical person would love. So he was like, "Oh, my mom makes the best cookies. I was gonna bring you some, but I changed my mind." She's like, "Why didn't you bring them? I'm a human. It's not that I'm pregnant. I'm a human being who likes cookies. You should have brought them." And he was like, "Well, I didn't know if you would like it." And then she's like, "Forget the pregnancy part. I'm a human being. I like cookies." But the point is, you are pregnant, and had he brought the cookies, I could have she would have found a way to be like, I'm a pregnant woman. You think I just would eat any regular cookies, whatever. But
mm,
it's so bizarre to me how she treats pregnancy and childbirth like this thing that is not to be spoken about, and I don't want to talk about it, and I hate it, and you hate me when you bring it up. It's so bizarre to me. It's so
yeah, I
weird.
mean,
I don't get it.
I do wonder if there's some kind of, I mean, I don't want to speculate because I don't know, but I do, like you put all that together, and then you add in the, asking about her weight. And it's like, is there some underlying confidence or self-esteem issues?
Mhm.
Maybe, maybe it's a bit of a sensitive subject. It doesn't need to be because I think, I mean, I don't like her as a person, but I can't deny she looks great.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
I
know.
don't love her hair, mind, but I find her looks
N-
frizzy and dry, and I don't love it. But
I
you know,
think
her
the
figure
fact
looks
that,
really nice.
yeah, but I
You
think the
know,
fact that she opted not to be, whether she opted to not or her husband decided not to be Lady Pool, tells me a lot.
yeah,
Because she could have
yeah.
still got a suit and would have still looked good enough to be Lady Pool, but somehow they got her a body double. So it's
Well,
maybe
was
she
that
doesn't
her
feel like
request though? Because she was very conscious. Like there was messages with her and Justin, like she wanted to delay the kind of the more risque
yeah,
scenes, so to speak,
which she did.
until
She
she'd
did
had
say
time.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I
Somebody
don't
said we
know.
were
I mean, it might
strong
have
for
been
it.
her choice.
Mhm. That I think it definitely would have been her choice. Which again, in a way, well, then you can't blame Justin. You can't call
No.
Justin any type of names, because if your trainer couldn't even get you ready enough to be Lady Pool, which funny enough, those Lady Pool scenes were shot way back in January of I think 24. I think those
Yeah,
Lady
they
Pool,
were.
yeah. So she should have had enough time to get into shape by then, and we know she was on set. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't somehow there is something I feel like connects this and is the right answer to why this all started. But are we crazy? And whenever I think about it, could it be as simple as she she didn't want to be talked about bad that could not be it, because that just seems so shallow. Like, you're going through all of this legal fees because the public didn't like you. Like, are you that dense that you can't wrap your head around that? Then I'm like, that could be the answer. Maybe I'm looking for too much here.
No, I mean, a lot of people, like, I have ideas, and like when I was like, oh no, I think Jones and Sloane, I think they were working with each other for, for ages, before Jennifer Abel even lost her job. I think they may have been sort of conspiring, and
Yeah.
I think I put in my thread, oh, it sounds far-fetched, but honestly, I'm trying to figure out. I'm just trying to remember one part of this entire, like, from the day Blake Lively was signed onto the film to where we are today. I'm trying to find one thing that has not been far-fetched.
It's
It's all far-fetched. You
everything is
look at the
out
people
there.
you're dealing with. It's Ryan Reynolds, for God's sake. Everything is take your wildest imagination and
Yeah.
then run even further with it.
Times
That's what
12.
all of this is.
Everything is out there. It's in space. It's in space with Katy Perry and everybody else. It's just it's gone because it does not make sense. Like, when this whole thing
No,
started, I was like, okay, I mean, and then you see that behind the scenes interaction she had with Justin. There is not a moment that she looks uncomfortable.
no, she's
Even
not.
when they've had these, there've been a couple of pictures and videos that've come out that looks like she and Justin are like arguing on set. It looks like not that she's interested in an argument, but it's like, it's not vitriol. It's not like, oh, I don't want to be around you. It's like, okay, we're having a disagreement. We go back, we do the
Yeah,
scene. There has not been a
I think I
single,
call that.
yeah,
Sorry, I think we call that creative difference though, because you got to remember, like, they were spending a lot of time together because
yeah.
their partners were away. Ryan Reynolds was in filming Deadpool and Wolverine. Justin was in New York and his family were in California. So their partners were away and they were kind of working on this film together. But she was obviously trying to take control. Now, I
Yeah.
have said this and I'll stand by it. The entire end goal, I believe, at least up until the end of the filming, was the PGA mark.
Oh, yeah.
She took control of all of these things, and you look at the protections, there's hardly anything in there about it. Doesn't protect anyone else anyway, it's just for her benefit.
Mhm.
But there's hardly anything in there that would prevent any kind of inappropriate behavior. Particularly, it's all
Yeah.
about, let's bring on Todd Black, and I want a Sony representative, and I want this, and I want that, and I want to take control of Isabella Farah's nudity rider.
Mhm.
These are all the criteria for the PGA mark.
Like, and I don't know if you got a chance to see that video that I made, but and I just answered my own question that I'm already going to ask you. But if your husband, because Blake continues to say she works on everything Ryan works on, Ryan has
Yeah,
confirmed these things, and we know she says she influenced multiple things on Deadpool. Why wouldn't you just have your husband hand you a PGA mark? But if you want that PGA mark on your
exactly.
resume or whatever, you don't want it to have come from your husband, right? She's probably like, it's not going to hold as much weight in this industry if people find out I got my PGA mark from Deadpool and Wolverine. It's going to look better, if it came from my own thing.
Yeah, no, I get that. But if she's done the work, then why
Right.
not?
But then
You know,
again, she probably didn't do anything. That's just something they say on a carpet to make themselves look good. Like, yeah, she works on everything I work on. Like, what? What did she work? Did she edit the
she
movie?
actually, with Deadpool and Wolverine, she actually put out a long post of all the ways that she had influenced not just that film, all of the
Yeah.
Deadpool films.
Yeah.
She actually credits herself with Nice Pool
Yeah. Which is why I think she
because
should go
she's,
get her PGA mark from her husband. Go sue
yeah,
him. Go sue your husband and Sean Levy for your PGA mark. But again, I'm pretty sure, and again, this is why I say these two have this mental state that a typical person, a reasonable person, wouldn't think like that. But I could see them sitting in the house like, well, if the PGA mark came from Deadpool and Wolverine, it's not going to have the same weight because everybody's just going to think my husband slapped that title on my ass. But if I get
yeah,
that title from Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer Studio on my movie that I'm the star of, that looks good. Like, she's fancying herself this A-lister, which you're not. I don't know how Blake Lively, again, she attached herself to Ryan very early on, but had she not married Ryan, has she not married Ryan is the sentence, I don't think we're here. I don't think Blake Lively has ever stars in Age of Adeline. I don't think she stars in Another Simple Favor or A Simple Favor. And then even then, why didn't Paul Feig give you a producer credit? You don't do producer work. You sitting on Instagram or Twitter telling us you influenced Deadpool, Nice Pool, whatever, does not equal producer credit. Your husband, you and your husband having pillow talk and telling him do this, do that, does not equal producer credit. But if you think it does, then you get it from him. You don't take a man's years. It took him years to bring this vision to life.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And then walk on his set and try to usurp him. And like somebody said that earlier. Like, you don't just do that. It's disrespectful.
No, like you say, he'd spent years in putting this together. You know, he'd at least read the book. I mean, she didn't even do that. But I remember her saying, I mean, I think it started with the PGA mark, and then she got a PGA mark. But then I think it went further, and the next goal, and it was something I seen her do an interview where she actually made a comment of, you know, when she learned about this film and the book and everything, she was quite intrigued.
Yeah,
it was a franchise.
Yeah.
So then. And the thing is, right, is if it wasn't a DV film, if it was a rom-com, the marketing actually would have been quite good for Betty Buzz and Betty Boos.
Perfect.
It was actually done well. It's just the film did not lend itself. No. So, I mean, because I can't deny they did a good job for marketing purposes if the film was the right film. So, and I think she was trying to make the film fit.
Yeah. Rather than having the marketing fit the film, she tried to make the film fit her stuff that was coming out. Makes sense.
Yeah. And I think that was like, she saw the franchise and she saw that she could actually utilize the franchise. So she's getting her PGA, she's getting her acting credential, she's in a high gross film.
Yeah.
She's the leading lady, but also she was making it work with her hair care brand and her alcohol and, you know, beverage brands and everything. And I think that's what she was looking at. And I mean, at the same time, she was also showcasing all of her friends' stuff, you know, Gigi Hadid's clothes, Taylor Swift's song, you know, there was something for everyone.
Everybody won.
Everyone except Justin Baldoni.
Justin. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the lawsuit though today, I don't know what impact it's going to have. That'll be. I'm curious myself, like, because it's so wild. I've never actually seen this situation.
Yeah. What I do think, though, I think if there was any chance of a motion to dismiss being granted, that's gone now. If you're Judge Lyman, I mean, if you thought you were gonna grant any motions to dismiss, like if there was even an inkling of granting it, if you see what's going on now, that has to leave your mind, right? You have to see this through.
Right.
You have to go to trial.
Exactly.
There's no way you dismiss it now.
Oh, I mean, in theory, and I think the two lawyers have said the same thing when Ron Zambrano, like, you can file motions to quash the subpoena, to make those text messages inadmissible. That would mean a lot of Blake Lively's case would actually fall away.
That New York Times article.
And without the retaliation, she's going to struggle with, you know, I don't know if the Section 47 privilege, sexual harassment one would apply, because that is specifically for retaliation.
So, and if there's no text messages, there's no retaliation.
Exactly. I'm not sure how it's going to go. I really don't. I don't know what Brian Friedman's going to do. I tell you what, I am absolutely shocked. Like, because I was sitting there, and I think some of the other, you know, guys, the two lawyers, we're all sort of in agreement. Brian Friedman, he must know about this. There's no way, you know, he must have asked for the subpoena. He would have seen that it had Van Zan on it as a plaintiff. He would have then he would have been asking questions. He would have gone and looked at the docket.
Right.
I could not believe it. I still can't believe.
I feel like
when he said he didn't know.
Yeah, but if you feel like if he said he didn't know, do you think is, and I hate to put Brian Freeman in this position, but do you feel like this is a he didn't know, like he knew, but it needed to come out in a way where he stays clean, or because he found out in a way where it wouldn't have been ethical for him to have found out that way? So, and again, I don't know how, without a crystal ball, Katie got her hands on this, but would this have been one of those situations where find a way to leak it? Now I know about it. Now I can act on it. And I hate to put this on Brian Freeman at all, but would this be the case where now, if this helps in any way, depending on how he would have come across it? But again, if this was never really filed, because this wasn't filed, correct? It doesn't have a stamp on it.
The subpoena did not have a stamp on it.
Right. So then you wouldn't have been able to
but it
find
was
that.
yeah, it was attached to this lawsuit though, and the lawsuit is legitimate. I've looked at the document.
Exactly.
I've got all the pages. I put them all in a thread as well, so they're there. People can see them.
Okay, so you
Um,
guys go look at that on Leanne's X. But what I'm thinking
yeah,
about that is, and somebody was asking earlier, is it a crime to use a fake subpoena? And the reason they can't really get in trouble for that, which, and again, they can't claim they received those text messages with the subpoena, is they never issued Jen Abel a subpoena. They just told her to sign some documents and took her phone.
we don't
So
we don't
nobody
know what
saw the
she
subpoena.
signed though. You know,
But
it might have been they might have been legitimate proper forms, but if she's quickly, it looks like she's been intimidated and
right.
coerced,
I mean, she said she was
and she signed
shaking.
them under duress.
Right.
Absolutely. But the forms themselves may well be perfectly fine. But the thing is, where I am with the phone, I don't think the subpoena was ever for Stephanie Jones to get the messages off
To
the
get
phone.
the
The device
messages.
belonged to Jen.
Exactly.
It belonged to Stephanie Jones, and I think there is a fair argument that even though the number on it was Jen Abel's personal number, it was being used for business purposes, which
Mhm,
means Stephanie Jones does have a right of access. And
mhm.
you know, does that mean she can go sifting through absolutely everything and sharing
Everything.
it about? No, but we
Yeah.
know that that happened before the subpoena. I think the subpoena was to cure passing it, notifying like Blake Lively's side, but
Mhm.
definitely for the New York Times.
Yeah.
I, I don't, I don't think, I don't think, I don't think the subpoena was needed. I mean, what was signed would not have been a subpoena anyway, because there was no active lawsuit.
Exactly.
So
Which is
it would
why
have been like maybe a waiver.
maybe a waiver, but then which is why I feel like if she had signed a subpoena, I mean, even if you didn't know what a subpoena looked like a year ago, you know what one looks like now, she would have brought it up to Brian Friedman. Hey, by the way, that thing they made me sign was a subpoena, which and then Brian Friedman would now know about it. So I'm gonna assume it wasn't a subpoena. And they probably just flipped to the, if they say review it and sign it, she didn't look like, or again, in how she described it, she didn't sound like she actually read anything. It just sounded like she flipped through the
No,
pages and put her signature on it. So could it have been some type of, your boss is firing you and is, they could have written anything on that paper. Hell, at this point, they could have taken that signature paper and attached it to something else. The way she's
yeah,
describing her stress, because it doesn't seem like she actually remembered anything she read or signed. So that is so
no.
concerning to me as well. But I
Well,
just
she's
know.
obviously
Go ahead.
no, go on.
No, I was just saying if anybody thinks this case was about to be dismissed, or if you're Blake or Ryan and you thought there was a chance for dismissal, I feel like this puts that to bed. Like there's like if you're Judge Lyman, if you dismiss this case now, you look shady because
I
you
tell
don't
you
want
what,
to find out
I
what's
will
going
help
on.
you out with I'll help you out with one opinion though. Ryan Reynolds, he's not going anywhere from this. He never was. I don't think he was even looking for that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think he was because he I did a bit of a snarky thread on this one, but when I saw his motion to dismiss, I mean, so much of it was all the arguments were based on things that weren't even part of the amended, Wayfarer's first amended complaint. And you've got to stay within the four corners of the complaint. You can't start bringing in outside stuff. But he brought in all this outside stuff,
Yeah.
used it to sort of make his arguments on. Well, the judge has now got to dismiss all of that.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure what's left.
It's
I
gone.
don't even know if he's got a motion to dismiss. But I mean, there's enough in there where there are facts of issues of fact, which
I
is for the
mean,
jury to decide, not the judge.
the
I
house
don't
is
see there's
crumbling.
a fact of law. And I tell you what, the argument then as well, especially with Blake Lively's, where Wayfarer then brought out the agency argument, that was just masterful. I was so good the
Yeah,
way that was done, because that then hooks Blake Lively to both Leslie Sloan and Ryan Reynolds' comments. And you can't say, well, he's not a representative. He
exactly.
was designated a representative.
Exactly.
There were multiple ways he represented it. It wasn't just even the January 4th meeting, to be honest.
Hmm.
He represented her to Wayfarer. He represented her to WME. He was texting Justin and I saying, "Oh, can you move your schedule?"
Hmm.
You know, there were, he was on set certainly for the second phase of the shooting.
Yeah,
He was on set.
yeah.
He was, persuading Justin to, oh, you should, use her version of the rooftop scene. There are so many
Which
ways
is
that he
his
has
version
represented
of the
Blake
rooftop,
Lively,
which is
mm,
his version of
which
the
he
rooftop.
wrote. Yeah,
So bizarre.
that's wild. That was.
So bizarre,
They
these
tell each
two.
other, don't they? They just they talk too much.
That's the thing. And I don't know, do they not know when the cameras are on? Do they not realize they're being recorded? Or do they not know when they're texting these things? Because, and that's one of the things that have actually put them in a very, very big disadvantage, is they seem to, I don't know if they feel like it's too big for people to notice or we are too dumb to notice what they're saying, but they tend to snitch on themselves a lot.
They do, and that is what a lot of a lot of the content creator community has actually, it's not finding stuff on them that is just, makes them look a bit shady. It's literally their own words.
It's them.
And that is the best way to use that's how the best way to win a lawsuit. Like if you
Yeah.
look at
Just
Depp
use your own
Heard,
words.
that in that case, you had the lawyers were forever throwing Amber Heard's own statements, her own recordings, her own depositions, her own interviews back at her, and she could not deny what she was saying.
Which I think it's one of the things a lot of people who support them don't understand. Like, and I remember when that Stephanie, whatever her name is, article came out accusing mommy sleuths
Oh,
of,
McNeil.
yeah, these people don't know what's going on, so they have to come up with stuff. We don't have to come up with anything. This information is just
No.
laid out waiting for us to talk about. They laid all this foundation for us. This is, somebody said I hit 15K. Oh no, 200. I was like, what is happening? No, I got distracted for a second. I was like, how is this happening again? I just hit 14K. Calm down, guys. Almost. No, but it's like we are using their words. Like, it's not like I'm using AI to make Ryan Reynolds say he burned down a school.
No.
It's not like I'm using AI to make Blake Lively says, you know what? I like to be hired as an actress. And then when I get on a job, I like to pull the rugs from directors' feet because what? We're not making this up. And everything corrupt,
No.
like it helps the current case. And it shows the character. That is what we're doing here. And again, Brian Friedman must thank the Lord. Justin must thank the Lord when they go to bed at night, because the work you, Leanne, CJ, me, Donna, Zach, I mean, without a crystal ball, Melanie,
Donald
Ashley,
Kurtz.
everybody. The names are like, I can't even, Lauren, the work people
Oh
have
yeah.
done to help, whether it's, to break down their characters, whether it's to educate the public. I mean, I can't wait to see what the jury is going to look like when they get to trial, because what jury are you going to find that's going to tell the truth and say, Shasti, thank you, to say like, Your Honor, we don't know what's going on, it's going to be hilarious because you promised. There is no way. And then Donna was saying the other, there are people in the world who really don't know what's going on. But I feel like, especially
Yeah.
in New York, wherever the jury pool is going to come from, a jury of your peers, you're telling me people don't know by now. You have to, and they live in New York too. The noise
I
has to be
know.
loud enough for the jury pool to be a little bit polluted, which is one thing I feel like they keep pushing for the jury trial. They keep asking for it. Is that their way of appealing whatever the verdict is going to be by saying the jury was polluted from get-go? Because
Well,
they should be
this is
the
it. I
last
mean,
people looking for a jury pool.
yeah. Oh, exactly. I mean, when I speak to people as well, like, like even like my wider, I mean, people I live with know what I'm doing. The wider people, like, wider families, etc. And I say to them, oh, did you know I'm doing stuff with this Ryan Reynolds case? And what Ryan Reynolds case? And they literally know
You're like,
nothing
what?
about it.
Yeah,
What's happening with him? I
yeah.
like him. And like, no, really, check it out. You won't like him by the end of it.
Yeah, no, I went to I think I mentioned earlier, I went to Verizon the other day to change my phone, and I had made a joke because Mint Mobile is always making jokes and taking shots at Verizon. And I remember
Yeah.
specifically telling the guy, "You guys must hate Mint Mobile, right?" And he was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Mint Mobile. They're always taking shots at you guys." And he's like, "What? I don't know what that is." And I was
I
like,
know.
"Ryan Reynolds' company." And he was like, "Oh yeah, I like that guy. He's funny, right?" And I was like, "No, he's not." And he's like, "No, he's not your cup of tea." And I was like, "He's not anybody's cup of tea once you figure out he's not funny." And he's like, "Oh, what happened?" And I said, "Just go look at my socials." And then he followed me. So I got to follow there. Hopefully he'll educate himself. But people really don't
I
know.
no, I know, because I'm one of the things I like with him with all these adverts and everything, like 'cause, he's connected to Wrexham. Now I lived in Wales, which is where Wrexham is for 20 years of my life. My mum's Welsh, and
Wow.
I'm forever putting out. It sounds ridiculous, but I'm putting out all these fires like because he does adverts and he's like referring to the team as the Red Dragons, and they're like, oh my God, there's a reference to dragons. No, 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 no. The team is literally called, their nickname is literally the Red Dragons because
Right.
the Welsh flag has an actual red dragon on it. That
Oh
is
my
not
God.
that's nothing to do with Khaleesi.
Okay. Khaleesi and Ryan didn't come up with that one.
No, no, he did not come up with that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I can see, but like I can see people like why I understand why people scrutinize everything now because
Yeah.
there've been like like when I was looking through when I was watching I've watched the Deadpool and Wolverine film, I've watched the Green Lantern film, and I've come up with a few things, quite a few times, as is everyone, with all of these Easter eggs. When I got the script, I think you got the script, didn't you? So I
Yeah.
went and like I saw you had it
I
and
pulled it
found
up. Yeah.
the line from Kidpool. I
Hmm.
went and then and I was like, because I was obviously invested in Dogpool because of Brett, and I
Of
really,
course.
really want to get Brett's story out there, like as far as I can.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I wanted to look at it. I also want to see what was in there about Nice Pool.
Hmm.
And honestly, God, I went to town on that. I think I pulled 11 posts put in one day, like, because it's incredible
Yeah.
how you see how Ryan Reynolds' mind thinks,
It's so
you
bizarre.
know? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But it in many ways it's been genius up to this point. But then when you peel it all back and you see some of the really awful things that some people have experienced, not just Justin Baldoni, there's been, talk of other kind of falling outs and feuds. There's obviously Brett Nako's own story, like I mean, so it's it's just absolutely it's been an eye opener. It's been incredibly disappointing as well because I really did like him. I liked his films.
You did? You liked him
And
before?
I did like him, yeah. I did find him funny. I hadn't watched anything with Blake Lively, but if I'm being honest, I watched A Simple Favor just to
Mhm.
because I want to get to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I did watch that film. I couldn't find the stomach for Gossip Girl. It just doesn't
Yeah.
sound like me. But I did give A Simple Favor a go. I got to say, I did enjoy it as well, actually.
Yeah. I watched A Simple Favor
Uh,
before all of this started, but I don't plan on watching the second one. I don't need to see anything from there. Like I have no plan on watching
and you
that.
see, I'm going to
I
because
needed to
I feel
fail,
like,
and we needed to fail miserably. We need as many
yeah,
people not to watch it as possible. I
I know.
needed to,
I do. I think it's the curiosity, and there's also like
yeah,
for me, there's all the other people that worked on the film as well. But like
yeah,
that film was being filmed right bang in the middle of and the ending of the filming of
yeah.
It Ends With Us and the premiere.
And we didn't
There's going
know
to be
anything that
Easter
was
eggs
really
there.
going on at that point. We didn't know what was happening at that time. So, I mean, not enough to be, talking about it this much at that time.
Yeah.
So, wow. No, but thank you so much for coming on here. I know it's late for you now. You probably have to go get my son soon from school. But this has been great. This has been I
Oh, it's been
appreciated you for
lovely.
coming up here. So let me see. Somebody real quick. Do law schools in Europe offer financial aid like US? How is the job market for lawyers in the UK? I think Auntie might be moving over to Europe. I don't know, Leanne, this is your question.
Yeah, so I mean, there's various loans and grants you can get. Not quite sure what the US aid is, but
It's
there,
it's weird.
no, it's not good. I mean,
Crazy.
there is obviously international students do get your standard loans grants. Some get like scholarships and things like that as well.
Mhm.
So there
Yeah.
are options available. It is very expensive. Um, my the postgrad after my it's like because you do a 3 year law degree, then you do either it can be a one full time year or two part time years of the postgraduate practicing diploma.
Mhm.
That costs there's no funding usually for that unless you're like a scholarship or something. But I think that's like 20,000, $30,000 pounds.
Wow.
So, and then this is obviously the British route. So there may be other routes, and there are other routes as well. But then you'd need like a 2 year training contract. So that's where you're actually going to work in a law firm as a trainee to
Okay.
qualify. The postgraduate bit is incredibly expensive. The training contract is incredibly hard to get. It's like yeah, it's as rare as hen's teeth, to be honest.
So it might
You
be
know,
easier for Auntie to just stick in the US for now.
well, after I finish this, because I've enjoyed the all the multiple layers of like here you've got one jurisdiction, you've got England and Wales.
Yeah.
England and Wales
Here
lawyers
is
do not practice.
annoying.
I know it's been crazy. So you got your state, your federal, and then you got all these various state laws that this, which law applies, which
Yeah,
jurisdiction, and it's absolutely insane. But
it
I've
is.
been amazed with myself actually that I've managed
Are
to
you been
keep
able
up
to
with
keep up?
law. Yeah, because this lawsuit is no joke because
It's
it's
not.
two lawsuits. There
Yeah.
are 15 people involved, parties. There
Yeah.
are two courts
Yeah.
involved. They are fighting over three different jurisdictions.
Jurisdictions involved. Yeah.
And yeah, and they got causes of actions under both federal and state law.
Mhm.
So far, I've kept up.
Yeah, I've tried to keep up, and I have no law degree. And to me, like sometimes I just read it, and I'm like the response Ryan Reynolds folks, sent in response to Brian Friedman's response. It sounded so stupid to me. I gave up. I was reading that, and I was like, "What is this?" Like it felt like Michael Gottlieb did not proofread that. Like if it sounded like an associate wrote that, and he just sent it in, and I couldn't keep up.
It's.
I was like, I'm no
I
lawyer.
think I
No.
actually outright said it sounded like Ryan Reynolds wrote it.
Same. I thought so too.
It
I
did.
text
It did.
Lauren. I remember, I think I text Lauren and I said, "Hey, does this sound stupid to you or is just me?" And she said it does. And I actually got a lawyer to look and they said the same.
It was. It was such a waste of paper, to be honest, because, like I
It
say,
was.
most of it is going to have to be kind of, disregarded because it brings in evidence that's not there. It's stuff that's not part of the complaint that he is seeking
Yeah.
to be dismissed from. So it's really was a pointless thing, and I felt like it was a PR thing. Like more opportunities to say, well, look, he is a sexual predator. And by the way, look, go and read his book, go and watch his podcast. Don't take my word for it, And it felt like that's what
Exactly.
he. I didn't like it at all. I thought I have to. I mean, I'll always give credit where credit's due, and I did say, well, Blake Lively's lawyer, she did write a good motion. She actually did.
Yeah.
So
I think Ezra does a good job with the emotions.
she does. Yeah, you got to give credit. The one I don't like is Leslie Sloan's.
Yeah.
From that first conference when she walked in, she was like, "Well, we shouldn't be having to deal with this because we're a
I
female-run
know.
company."
I
It's like,
remember
no,
that.
if that's your argument,
And then you remember when they kept trying to tell the judge, Your Honor, I'm sure somebody as seasoned and experienced as you. And the judge was like, get to it. Like, I know I'm seasoned, I know I'm experienced. Get to your point. And I remember listening to
and
that call and I was like, oh, I would be so annoyed if I was a
no,
judge.
oh, it's
Like,
bad. It was,
I'm gonna
but yeah, no,
let Leanne go. But I want to show you
thank
guys
you.
Leanne while you're here if you want to take a look. But thank you so much for coming. If you want to finish up anything you can finish up, I just have to run to go get my son.
No,
Um
that's absolutely fine.
from
I'm going
school.
to dip out because it's nearly 11 o'clock at night.
It's late for you, but I'm
Um,
gonna show you guys something if it's loading because I don't think you believe me when I say I'm surrounded by empty boxes. Here, I'm pulling it up now. Let me know when you guys can see it. Let me remove this. You guys are gonna think I'm nuts because you're probably gonna be like, girl, why? This is
Oh
what
my goodness.
my living room looks like. I don't know if you guys can see, but huh?
Is the plant like in the mix? Is it part of the packages or is it just
No,
kind of long branches sticking out?
this is the empty. Oh, the branch is what's behind
Yeah.
me. the,
Oh.
the branch is part of the olive tree behind me.
Oh wow.
It's
Olive
not
tree.
growing out of the trash, no. But literally, guys, those boxes are me opening everything you sent because, again, I wasn't expecting to get that many things. So, what my husband and I are doing is we've gone ahead and opened everything and we're going to take inventory. And I got those individualized bags. Somebody actually ended up buying that for me. And I'm about to break those boxes down all night once I get my son and he eats dinner and goes to bed. So we're gonna get the back. I'm documenting everything. I'm gonna show you guys everything, but I'm so appreciative. I'm so thankful. We're gonna put all the gifts in individualized bags, some underwear, toothbrush, everything for each child. That way it's easier to distribute. And I thought I was only doing this for like one school and one orphanage, but you guys sent enough for me to like handle 10 different organizations probably. So that's why we're doing them individually. That way I know like it's spaced out, and then the fire extinguishers and the fire blankets will go to the orphanages that I originally had in mind to help. But you guys have given me a lot of work and it's so appreciated, but my back is in pain. So I can't if I left right now and I like if somebody dropped me, I would be safe. Like there's so much cushion. I'll there's so much cushion in my house right now. These boxes are like filling. I was taking the trash out. I told my husband we might have to tip our maintenance guy who has to take the trash because we live in a high rise, who has to bring the trash downstairs. So this has been great. I appreciate Leanne for joining me on here because I had so many like lawyer questions. I'm gonna see if Leanne, if you're available, maybe tomorrow, not the weekend, that we can have your weekend, but maybe Monday we can hop on if
Yeah.
anything arises from this. And then
Yeah,
Leo, I'm
yeah.
gonna check your email when I get off here. Yeah, and then let's talk about this more. Let's see what else we can, find out between now and Monday if anything arises. But please, anytime you want to come on, just let me know. I'll turn on my
Yeah, yeah.
live and
Do
we
you
can go live on your channel and I will send everybody there so we can get your subscribers up because that's what everybody did for
yeah.
me when I started. So I
No,
appreciate it
definitely. I
so
mean,
much.
look out for because I'm obviously waiting for the decision on the motions, and this coming week now, the end of next week,
Yeah,
we've got Wayfarer's opposition to the Stephanie Jones. So I am now curious to see what they put in there. Now we know all of this.
yeah.
So,
And I just text you,
well,
Leanne. So
thank you.
you have my number, but thank you so much. I appreciate you for coming to keep me company. This was fun. And you see, you guys,
Yes,
Leanne is a lawyer, but everything she says is digestible. She doesn't try to use the lawyer terms to confuse you. So thank you. Hi, Lara. Yes, I'm gonna check Leo's email right now while I go get my son. But thank everybody for coming. I hope you get better, Lara. And Elizabeth said she had a family emergency. I hope everything turns out well for you. I'm so sorry for that. And Leanne's YouTube, Leanne, you want to plug your YouTube real quick? Is Leanne Newton, I think 1 5 something. I forgot.
no, I need to go.
Somebody said it earlier. I think Berkeley put it up here. Give me 1 second if I can get to it.
Oh yeah, it's 1572. Leanne
I
Newton
knew it.
1572. I've also
I
got
knew it.
TikTok, which is Leanne Newton, and I've also got Patreon.
Okay,
I'm
so
just
I'm
getting
gonna have
started, so
great. I'm gonna have Leanne send me all her links and everything. And when I post this video, because this video is gonna post when we get off, but give me like 10 minutes, I'm gonna link everything under there. And you guys, okay, there we go. Please make sure to go follow
thank
Leanne,
you.
and she gives you all the information. I give you like funny and humor. Leanne gives you info. So go listen to her for info and then come to me for the giggles. And we'll do it that
I don't
way.
think it goes mind.
Okay, Leanne got giggles too. Leanne, don't take my steez now. Don't take my steez. I'm the giggly. So go to Leanne for the info and some giggles and come to me for all the giggles, for the rest of the giggles.
Yeah.
I can't believe I said I was gonna be on here for 30 minutes. The way I lied, it's not even funny. Like I told that lie so comfortably. 2 hours later, I'm now getting off. So thank you guys all for coming. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your continued support. I want to think I was gonna check to see where we are exactly as far as 15K. If somebody in the chat can let me know. Lara, don't laugh. You know I have no self-control. I can't believe I actually thought I would be on here for I would be on here for for hi Kinney. Okay, Kenny just followed you. Kenny's amazing, great hair color. Maybe she will convince you to change your hair color. I'm trying to do mine too. You guys, the reason I have on this scarf, I missed my hair appointment on Wednesday, and I can't get another one till Wednesday. So you're gonna see a lot of hair scarves till then. All right, 200 more. Mel says 200 more subs till 5K, 15K. So let's do that, guys. We'll probably get there by tonight if I'm not being too hubris. We'll probably get there by tonight or tomorrow, and then I can thank you for tomorrow. But in about 20 minutes, I'm gonna post the video of the packages I've opened so far on TikTok. So if you don't follow me on there, go do that. Is the same username. And please make sure to follow Leanne if you know already. If not, I'm gonna attach all her links when we get off. And thank you guys so much. Make sure to go say thank you to Leanne and let her know I sent you. I appreciate you guys. I don't know who is live right now that I can send you. Oh, Ask Two Lawyers are live, I believe. So if
Yes.
anybody wants to go there and check them out, right, they got 4K people over there. They don't need my help, but go over there and support them and say Elstridge sent you. Thank you guys. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate all the help for the kids. You have my heart forever. And I can't wait to show you all the stuff you sent and how I'm packaging them. Yes, I'm gonna put the video here, Instagram and TikTok. It's gonna be everywhere. I post the videos everywhere. So thank you, Berkeley, for helping the chat. Thanks, Lara. Thanks, Mel. You guys are gems. And Berkeley, I got your packages too. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. Have a great night. Have yourselves a great and safe weekend. God bless you for being here. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.